You're listening to the Awkward Pillow Talk podcast.
We are Jason and Stephanie Class. We've been professional adult content creators for over 5 years, and we're here to talk about all things sexy and awkward.
This content is explicit, so you must be 18 or older to watch or listen.
These are our real life stories, so if any of that offends you, we'd like to say, fuck you. Visit virginitysnatchers.com to get in on the fun. Welcome back to another episode of Awkward Pillow Talk, and we have a fun episode planned today because, much to Stephanie's chagrin, we're going to dive into a little bit of her past, because one of the common issues that we come across is people saying, there's no way I could ever be like her.
Right.
Like, how could you possibly end up in this line of work? And
trust me, it's wild.
It is a wild story, and I feel like more people will connect with us after they hear your story.
Let's hope.
And now that we're more comfortable kind of telling our story and being like, fuck it, because everybody knows what the hell we do anyways,
Right.
we might as well tell like the full, real story about it and find our community. Because that's really what we're finding here is the more open we are, the more we tell people, the more our community comes out, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's
and
right.
We got to practice what we preach here. We keep telling people, hey, you're feeling down, you're feeling out, you're feeling like you can't find your community in this. You have to be yourself.
Right.
You can't go act like something else and then wonder why this person isn't following your same mindset.
Signals, like,
exactly.
You can't have that.
So this is our plea also to find our community and being like, hey guys, we want to connect. We want to bring everybody together that feels this same way. And I realize that it feels weird to have community, especially when you're not used to having it.
Right.
You don't know how to interact in community. You don't want to be the person that speaks up. I promise you, this is going to be the most judgment-free community you could ever find. Steph absolutely loves it when people participate. Like, you leave a comment somewhere. She's like, oh, check this out. Hey, she puts effort into responding to these things.
I try.
So it's not like, we don't take this for granted, okay?
Right.
So please, if you're looking for community, we are looking to be part of that community with you, okay? Right. We're here. We're accepting you. If you need somebody to vent to, if you're a creator that just doesn't feel like anybody understands you, if you're somebody that wants to look into the lifestyle and you feel like everybody's just looking down on you,
and you don't know where to start.
All these situations, guys, we are here. We're open. We're awkward, but we're open.
We are awkward.
And we really hope that you do join in on this community. Now, if you didn't catch one of the commercials that we had already in one of our episodes, we are now partnered with SDC, which is, of all the swinging sites that we've tried, is one of our most successful ones that we've been on. And the reason being, because I can actually go through and see everything about somebody. Like, you really have the ability to put a full profile. It's not like Tinder or something where it's limiting it.
Pictures.
Yeah, they're not trying to go for the viral effect on there. They're trying to give me the information that I'm looking for, and they're giving it to me in a way that is easy to find.
Exactly.
So I can, verify location. So from this point forward, Steph and I are essentially going to be filtering all of our play partners through SDC.
Right.
So what we would like you to do, if it's something that you're interested in kind of joining us on, visit us at awkwardxxx.com and sign up through SDC there. What happens is when you sign up on that link, we actually get a notification, and it kind of links our profiles together.
Yeah.
So we can find out, what's going on in the future. Hopefully sooner rather than later, we're going to be planning some awkward events.
Let's hope.
And
that'd be cool.
That is going to be kind of key to how we do this. I hate going on Discord. I hate going on all these other sites, but SDC is a site that I go on just in general, to meet and hang out with people. So I think it's a really good opportunity for us to create community and grow there.
Absolutely.
So awkwardxxx.com. Now, they also booked you and I for a bit of an awkward live stream. Now, I'm not sure they realize how awkward it's going to fucking be.
Well, we talked to,
We did. We talked to her, and
I'm sure
she understands that. Yes. So our first live stream that we're going to have on SDC, and we hope you all will join us.
Yeah.
It is free to join and listen in, is on January 29th, 2025 at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
So join us in, and it's going to be how to embrace awkward in the lifestyle. And if you are a regular listener, you know that we're fucking experts on embracing awkward in the lifestyle. So make sure you drop in. We're going to share some of our stories, maybe some that you've heard before, but you know, we've always got new insights and all that kind of stuff because Lord knows I can never tell the story the same way twice.
Right.
But hopefully you will join us and be enlightened by the awkwardness that is the lifestyle. You know, it's not all the it's not all masks, I would say. You know, the masquerade is not all
smooth
sailing. You know, it can be weird, it can feel uncomfortable,
yes,
but
there's a lot of uncomfortable.
You need to know where to go and how to navigate it, and that's what we want to be able to preach to people. Is it's weird, it's awkward. Awkward is okay.
Right.
So we got a really cool package in the other day.
It was pretty cool.
And we've been getting a lot of cool stuff. So thank you to everybody in general that is trusting our opinions on their products.
Yeah.
But this one blew me away because I'm not sure. I just wasn't expecting it. Like, when you look at the company, you look at it and it's like they have like 3 products. And you're like, okay, well, you know, just nothing excited me. It was like a blanket, some massage, whatever, and then some washcloths or whatever. I was like, whatever. But I started looking into it, and like a little bit of their brand kind of matched up with what we were doing and stuff. And I'm getting really good at not judging a book by its cover.
Right.
And trying to be open about things. And of course, when I dive in, I'm like, oh, well, obviously I'm the only person that thinks, you know, 3 products is an issue because they've got thousands of followers. Like, they have no issues as far as like their social media presence. So like, fuck my opinion there. But my opinion does count on the quality of this stuff. Yes. And I think you'll agree too. So Common Confidential is the company that we're talking about. And you make sure you use the code AwkwardPillowTalk to get that discount on these items. But holy shit.
It's wild.
I get it. I get why they only offer 3 things, because they're 3 super high quality. Yeah. And they maybe they have more than 3 things, but 3 things from what I've seen.
Right.
Holy shit, though. Like, this is the blanket that we're sitting on right now.
Yeah.
Is their like version of a splash mat. And from the second we took it out, it was like, whoa. Oh my God. We both rolled around on it. We took our clothes off and just rolled around on it. We're like, oh my God. This feels amazing.
Right.
And then on top of that, they sent us this right here, which is like a massage butter. And you can see we just use a little bit, but it's also a loop. So like, it's penetration safe. So we basically...
it's like moisturizing too.
It's moisturizing too. So we basically... I slathered some on her. I slathered some on me. And we just kind of like went at it until parts kind of connected, you know, as they do.
We linked up.
We linked up, yeah. We also took some chocolate beforehand.
Yes.
So like, that added to the experience. So
yeah.
And I will say the silliest part of the entire Common Confidential package, but possibly my most favorite part, are these washcloths. They're the little love rags, right?
Love rags.
They're so soft.
They're very soft.
And it's like, you just keep them next to you, and when you're done, you
what is it they say on the box?
Where do I have the box out? It's over there. Basically, it's like, throw it between your legs and cuddle instead of having to do the awkward walk back to the bathroom.
Yep. Perfect.
But no, these really are like, we have washcloths. Like, we buy them in bulk because let's be honest.
Right.
We come often. I'd rather come on these.
Yeah. Let's make a mess on those, huh?
Make a mess on these. Make a mess on Common Confidential, for real. Like, make a mess on them, y'all. That should be their slogan, like, make a mess on us.
Okay.
If they're not, like, free marketing advice, y'all.
Okay.
Anyways, we did discuss, though, that like, if you go over to somebody's house and you see confidential written on a washcloth, maybe don't use that one to wash your face.
Right.
But that's just a little extra life advice. So let's dive in a little bit on your journey here.
Yeah.
So TikTok's been real interesting to us lately.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of gone off on this little bit of a viral stint. I don't know.
I guess.
We've gotten millions of views in the past few days.
It's wild.
So really interesting. We're part of this, TikTok agency thing now for live creators. I don't really know what it means, but they asked us if we want to be part of it. I was like, yeah, sure. We'll
Whatever,
learn from it.
we'll try.
We're all down to learn
Right.
all kinds of things. This
Can only help.
Yeah. And I will say that this stuff would not have been anywhere near possible a year ago.
Right.
There's no way in hell you would have agreed to doing TikTok lives.
Yeah.
Or going on SDC to do a live.
Really, any of it.
For you would have been like, it has to all be planned out, and you would have been so miserable leading up to those things that it would have just made it
not fun,
unbearable.
Right.
So you have come such a far way, a long way, whatever you want to say, in just mentality. I mean, and we've been doing this. We're saying now we're going on 5 years for this.
For content.
For content creation. And really just within the past year has it been that you fully accepted that, like, you enjoy it. I don't think it's not that you didn't enjoy it before, but like you're embracing it and just saying, fuck it. Like, I don't want to do anything else other than this.
Right.
Like, I shouldn't have to just because society
says
it's faux pas.
Right.
Which continually it is telling us it's faux pas.
Right.
But anyways, I just wanted to back it up and let's like fully tell people, like, where'd you come from? Like, what was it like for Steph growing up? Like, obviously you had a hypersexual situation growing up, you were abused a bunch. No,
none of that.
Just totally normal.
Normal.
No past trauma.
Nope.
Grew up in, your family must have been like dirt poor.
No.
Struggled. No, nothing like that.
Nothing like that.
No. So how could you possibly turn to a life of deviance like this?
I don't know. It just kind of happened.
All right. Well, tell us.
I mean, I don't know. I grew up like, like a regular person, but like we didn't talk about sex. Like it was very hush hush, like when it comes to that kind of stuff. And so like I was very naive with like all of it and very uneducated in I don't know, it just like it was just not something that mattered, if that makes any sense. Like it was just like, oh, that's just something you do and that's it, like done, wham bam, thank you ma'am, and that's it. So I don't know, it just kind of like,
I mean, what were your thoughts on it? Obviously you were not a virgin when we met,
right?
So like, what were your thoughts on it prior to losing your virginity? Was it a big deal for you to lose your virginity?
It was a huge deal. It was huge. And I waited for a long time, and then finally the boyfriend at the time was like, look, I'm going to college, like, and I was like, all right, fine. And I mean, part of me is like, yeah, I wish I wasn't like not pressured into it at that time, but like it was like, okay, I'm leaving, like
now or never.
Right. And I was like, okay, like I get it. And so, and we'd been together for a year and a half or so. So it was like maybe a little longer, but
only took me 4 days.
Right. But like, it was one of those things where like afterwards it was like, oh, it's not a big deal. And it was like, okay, like whatever. So, I don't know.
And then, I mean, after that it was him, and then it basically turned into me. So you had like
2 people.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, obviously, like his mentality on it, but I imagine I am a bit more extreme on that side of things.
Yeah, I would say so.
So it was probably a bit of a shock, because like you didn't know what an orgasm was,
right,
when we met. Because I remember that was one thing. I've always just been very in tune with women. I want to make sure that you're comfortable, right, all that kind of stuff. And I've never just been like, ooh, I'm just getting it for myself. Like, right, for me, it's, I want to make sure that you're enjoying it just as much, because I can go fucking come later if I need to, right, you know what I mean? But it's the enjoyment of my partner and stuff. So I was with you, I was like, so have you ever had an orgasm? Like, what can I do to make you come? And you're like,
I have no idea.
I don't know. I was like, what do you mean you don't know if you've come before? You're like, I don't know. I was like, I'm fairly positive. you would know. There's kind of feels like a big release or something. I don't think I have it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure that
And it was
this never
like
happened.
interesting. And I remember trying to use my finger or something, and you were like, "That's too sensitive." And I was like, "Fuck." All right. So I remember going back to the drawing board and being like, "All right, I'm gonna go get her a vibrator."
Yeah.
I remember the next time we started kind of fooling around, I pulled it out. I was like, "Look," and I knew it was going to be a sensitive subject, and I was like, "Look, check this out." And you were like, "Nope."
You're like, not happening.
I was like, "Just
Just look at it.
just look at it, feel it, touch it to your nose, whatever." And you're like, "Cool, awesome." I was like, "Can we just touch it to it for a second?" And you're like, "Yep, okay, touch it to a second. Put it to the side, headphone, whatever."
Yep.
And then I think it was like over the course of like a month,
Yeah, probably.
you finally like tried it, and it was long enough to like reach orgasm, and you were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And you were like, I don't need anything else." I was like, "Oh, cool, let's try different things now. You figured this orgasm out. Let's try different things." You're like, "Nope."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, let's try this time." "Nope, this one works." "But let's try, no, this one works. This is fine." And you had a set way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no way you were breaking out of that routine, or else it just wasn't going to happen.
Still, I'm a little bit like that.
You are getting better at it, but
I'm
you are
getting
still
better.
very much like it. And I'm not saying this to tease you. I'm
No, I
saying
know.
this to paint the picture
Right.
for everybody else. I just want to make that clear to you.
I know.
You know, but that's where we started. That was
Yeah. So, like, looking back, 12 years ago, it's like, whoa, how did we go from that to this? And like, that's crazy. Like, it, I mean, but again, we took everything so slow. So it wasn't like from day one, we were like, okay, this is the life that we're going to choose. It's like, no, this was a journey. This was a slow crawl to where we got comfortable.
We slowly found what holes we were comfortable in, without pun intended.
Okay.
You know, we kind of just found our little nooks, and
Right.
that's what it is. You know, we know for a fact that we're not comfortable with like sending you out to go do things, or me going out to go do things, because to us the lifestyle is about us,
The togetherness.
Together.
Right.
So coming from, us, getting you into having an orgasm, and I remember in Tennessee, before we got married, your dad kind of took you to the side and was like, "Hey, you really need to like put some importance on like sexuality."
Right.
I know this is like an awkward conversation to have, but like it's super important, and that's why my marriage has failed. And I remember you came back and told me what he said, and I was like, "Bro, like, awesome," but like the best advice that anybody could have possibly given. And I know it's awkward advice.
Oh, of course.
But like, I'm not sure that he understands how much that like probably changed the trajectory of our marriage in general. Was like, it allowed you to understand from somebody other than just me, somebody that you had respect for, that this is something that is important, and it's not something you should just ignore. So I think, he definitely gave me the assist there, as far as like an open door on you not just immediately shutting it down. Because I think prior to that conversation, it was pretty, it wasn't going to move beyond that. You wouldn't even really go doggy style for a while. It was just like straight missionary.
Yeah.
It was like you were just, this is how it's going to be.
Right.
So I was fine with it at the time, but I think as you get older and hormones change and stuff, we're like, okay, let's spice things up a little bit.
Right. Try out something different.
So I would, be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And you'd be like, "No."
Yeah.
And then we would
talk about it.
We kind of role play it either in the shower, which we love role playing in the shower for some reason.
We just talk a lot in the shower.
Or just laying in bed at night, we'd be like kind of talking about it. And it's not even like while we're masturbating or anything, because it's too distracting for her.
Oh, yeah, I can't.
She can't do that. We're just talking it out. How would this work? What would your concerns be with that? Like, well, I remember one time we were talking about like one of our first kind of like role play scenarios that we had was like, okay, if we had another dude come over, right, and like I was sitting on one side, he was sitting on the other side, how would you go for both of them? You were like, "Oh, well, yeah, of course I would." Yeah. And I was like, "Well, what would happen if he came?" And you were like, I wouldn't want to make him come. I would just want to make you come. I was like, well, you just like leave the dude stranded. And so like those like kind of like they seem like silly conversations,
Right.
but like you kind of find out where your boundary is, right? You
Right.
say, okay, well, something about like she didn't mind touching his cock. That was fun.
Right.
But just him orgasming, that was the part that for her was like the red flag of like, I'm not comfortable with that.
Right.
What can we do then to like make that more comfortable? If he was wearing a condom, would that be fine? Or what if he came inside you instead? And you're like, oh yeah, either of those, fine. Like I just don't want it all over my hand.
Right.
Yeah, like, I don't mind yours all over my hand, but like the other guy's all over my hand or my mouth is like gross.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like those are weird trade-offs that we had that you're suddenly just like, okay, well that's our path forward then.
Right. Like this is okay, but this isn't. So I guess we'll go in that direction.
And it's you meet, you kind of meet in the middle on things.
Right.
And I constantly let her know that like at any point we pull the plug on anything.
Right.
We've always had a exit strategy, so to speak.
Right.
Or an initiation strategy, if we can call it that too. Remember, we used to do the double squeeze.
Yeah.
Because it was really hard for us to like move on to things when we were in a new situation. So another topic I think that's worth bringing up is how you feel about women and like your attraction to women.
Right.
Like the word bisexual, we don't like almost as much as we don't like the word swinger.
Right.
Because one of our former playmates had described it best. I think she was like, I like playing with women, but I love my husband. I could never love a woman,
right?
But I like playing with women.
Right.
I like having sex with women. And I think that was probably the bit of advice. We always kind of have that one moment that kind of changes your personality on something, or your thought process, not personality, but your perspective. And I think that she was kind of the catalyst for that.
Okay, I understand that, because it was like I never knew how to like describe it. It was like I like playing with them, but like I would never leave you for a woman, or I would never be like, oh no, I'm catching feelings. Like it's
you don't like just playing with, you like fucking women.
Well, yes, but like what I'm saying is like I just didn't know how to like ever describe that. And so when she said that, it was like, oh, that just, it makes sense. Like, and that's like the perfect way to like, I'd say, describe how I like it.
It was like really from that point forward, it allowed you to open up. And it used to be to where I'd be like, hey, do you want to go eat her out now? And you would like go and take place,
right?
Like, because you weren't really sure of how to go. And now when you're in that situation, you kind of naturally move into where you want to go. And I love watching you get into your own natural rhythm on it, and just like you going where you want to be. Right. That is the hottest fucking thing ever to me, is just watching you make your own decision of like, this is what I want to do right now.
Right.
And just like, oh, I'm getting hard thinking about it right now. Calm down. This is a good time to show off my underwear. This is the real men's underwear. You can get it on our TikTok shop. I did already almost get a TikTok ban, so we will not be showing this off on TikTok. This is a simply YouTube show. But go buy them. They're the best fucking underwear ever. I am 185 pounds, 6'2", wearing a size small, package size D.
Did you have to fill that out?
I did when I ordered it.
I didn't know that.
Not my size and stuff. Oh. I just figured that was helpful to give other people.
Oh, okay. Helpful information.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anywho, so back onto the women aspect of things. When we started the journey with, getting into women, I remember asking you, like, would you ever, be with a woman? You're like, no, it just doesn't do it for me. Right. But you always, you were never shy about saying, yeah, that woman's hot, or she's pretty, right, or whatever. You'd even call it out to me.
Yeah, I would.
So I was like, I'm getting mixed signals here. Like, obviously you appreciate the female form a little bit.
Right.
But you're like, there's that just block. And I know it's religion, obviously. That's the number one block for this type of activity.
Right.
Is religious shame. And for me, it was obviously a fantasy to have two women at once. So, but I wasn't going to be selfish enough to like make you do that if you didn't want to do that.
Right.
But I would be lying to say that it wasn't something that was like a fantasy of mine.
Right.
So like obviously I wanted to make sure the opportunity was available to present to you.
Right.
So I remember like when we would swing with people, we would make sure that the woman was straight too. Typically, like we would make sure that like,
or at least they respected
it, and we'd kind of get onto that. We would talk about those boundaries ahead of time because that was one of the things you were concerned about. Is the woman know I'm not going to touch her?
Right.
I was like, yeah, babe, it's all good to go. But then one time we had a card game that we used to play.
Okay.
And during the card game, I guess I can use her name because like I don't know, I couldn't find her myself, but her name was Ashley. During the card game, it had landed to her to where you were supposed to kiss her.
Okay.
And you were like, okay. And you went for it.
Okay.
And I was like, oh.
I don't even remember that.
That's pretty fucking cool. So that was the same night that we did our first full swap. Yep. And I hurt her. I made her bleed because I was bigger than she was expecting, I suppose.
Oops.
And meanwhile, you were like, I actually didn't even know if he was going to be.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah. And yeah, you do, because remember, he was trying to force her to come at the end of the night. She couldn't come.
Oh, that was at the hotel.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
So
yes.
It was weird.
Dynamic.
They were really nice.
They were, yeah.
And we were young.
And they were equally young and equally as new, I think.
Yeah. So like,
it was just a mess.
If they ever find us or anything, like, props to them. It was fun. Like, we have no issues with them.
Right.
But it was interesting because I feel like that kind of like opened up the door for me to be like, okay, well, do you want to explore this more? And of course the answer is no, every time. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I know there's another couple. Finally, I was like, look, obviously you kissed this girl. Like, can we like just go for a couple that like has a woman that's like bi-curious,
right,
or something? You know, like whatever, fine. And I remember this older couple came over, and I say older, then I mean they were probably 40 at the time, but we were 25. So
right, significant difference still.
We had just had our first kid. Or was it our second? It was just our second kid. And I remember we were like, they came over and we hung out, and like, the poor people were probably there for like 4 or 5 hours the first time. And they're finally just like, all right, we got to go. And they left, and we just like sat there. Just like, it was really awkward, like, because we didn't know how to move into the next phase. Right. So after that time, I was like, look, sorry, I didn't know how to, like, you know, initiate whatever. And they're like, oh, it's fine. We didn't either. We didn't want to like scare you guys off, blah, blah, blah. So like, the next time they came over, they're like, all right, we brought the hoe bag this time.
Yes, I forgot about the hoe bag.
It was the first time we were introduced to the hoe
bag.
bag.
That was the first time, yeah.
And they were like, oh, okay, so we're ready. So I think we basically went right into the bedroom that time.
Right.
Because we were like, we don't want to like end up doing this fucking whole thing again. But I remember she was like, are you comfortable with women? You were like, I don't know.
Right.
And she was like, well, do you mind if I take your top off? And you were like, sure. And I'm just sitting there watching you and this beautiful older woman and her slowly taking your top off. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yep.
And she takes it off, and then she starts kissing your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And then she starts sucking on your tits. And you're just kind of giving that, like, the back arch thing going, like, oh, I don't know. And I can tell you're like excited, and like her husband's kind of sitting off to the side. And I think in retrospect, I think he was probably more cuck.
That's what I was thinking.
And if I was a little more dominant, I probably would have had a great night. You know what I mean? But I didn't know how to handle that situation.
Right.
Right now, if that situation came up, whoo, watch out. Okay. I'm ready for it. But I remember from that point, she was like, can I touch your pussy? And you were like, sure. And I was like fucking losing it at that point. Have you ever been so horny that your feet just get cold? Like,
no, I think I usually just end up with a headache, but
that's your horny sign, is the headache?
I don't know.
I remember very strongly, even when I was younger, like the first time I'd come across like a real porn, it was like it felt like the blood left my legs and went straight to my cock, I'm sure.
But it did.
That's exactly what happened in that moment. This when she touched your pussy, and I was just like, whoa. I thought this only happened in pornos. You know what I mean? And I'm just sitting back, just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And you looked like you were enjoying it. You were not reciprocating, which she had told you was fine. She was like, I'll just touch you. You'll just see if you like it.
Right.
And you're like, yeah.
Okay.
And she kept asking, is this okay? And you kept on being like, yeah. She's like, you like this? And you're like, yeah. So then she pulled out a dildo that she had.
That's
And
right.
she was like, can I fuck you with this? And it was like a little vibrate thing on it. And you're like, yeah. So then you laid back and I watched her fuck you with the dildo. And I was right now, still to this day, one of the best moments of my life.
Okay.
What was funny is even after enjoying that, I feel like you felt guilt. Maybe not funny, maybe more sad. Because it wasn't like you were like, oh, I enjoyed that. Let's go find more.
Right.
It was, I enjoyed that. Not sure if I'll do it again.
Or I'm not sure if I should have.
Yes.
Right.
So it took us a while still, even after that, because you weren't like, do not put me as bi-curious on swinger profiles. Certainly don't put me as bisexual, but we do put you as bisexual because 100% that is that is what it is. But before, the stigma just used to be there. So
right.
I feel like maybe this is an important story for some women that are like, you know, I like the idea of it, but I don't want to be part of that LGBTQ, you know, like that's not part of me.
That it's, you know, anything against
I have
it.
no problem with it at all, but some people, that is the look. Labels create blocks, right?
Whether it's mental
you don't
or
have
physical.
to have the fucking label. If you're not creating the content, nobody needs to put a fucking label on you.
Right.
It can be whatever the fuck you want it to be. That's what I'm getting at here.
Right.
So you don't have to be considered gay or bisexual to have sex with a woman if you were a woman.
Right.
Same thing goes for a dude, but not for me. But if other dudes go for it, you know what I mean?
It doesn't matter what
it is. What
the label is only what you make it. Make it
100%. So with us moving on to that, from that experience, I think we had a few brushes, but nothing that was like groundbreaking. I think kind of having your friend be part of that as the next step was probably helpful because you're able to realize, hey, there's other people that, you know, are in my life that think the same way too.
Right.
And then we met our friend that kind of gave you that little bit of advice about, you know, just because you like having sex with women doesn't mean you have to love women.
Right.
And from there, it's been pretty smooth sailing.
I'd say so.
You definitely enjoy the company of a woman, especially when I'm involved.
Right.
I mean, my favorite thing I think that you've done is when I'm fucking you and then you're eating her out at the same time. You getting both best of both worlds, you know, a little double taste there.
Yeah.
Fucking fantastic. Fully recommend to everybody if you get the opportunity. Anyways, the point of this, guys, is not to be like, hey, check out all the cool sex Jason's had, because there's been a lot.
But also, it's not like, okay, you came from here. It does not mean you have to stay down that path. If you would like to go down a different path, explore it. You just never know what you might like.
At any juncture through that, Steph could have been like, this isn't for me, and she could have stopped, and that could have been the end of the road.
Right.
And that should be the same for everybody. Everybody should have the ability to explore.
Or to turn around.
Exactly.
And walk away.
That's kind of the preach here, right? Is if you're in a comfortable, safe relationship, being able to try something that you are curious about but not sure of should be a safe thing for you to do.
Yep.
Now, obviously, the final part of your transformation here, I think, is us getting into content.
Yeah.
You know, we had that photo shoot in Mexico.
Yep.
And then from there, it kind of snowballed. And once you learned how to take compliments and really enjoy compliments from people, but you like it.
No,
when people are like, oh my God.
Like, take it still. Like,
somebody emailed you this morning, you're like, your box is perfect. I could just like, you just lit up. You're like, oh.
I was like, okay.
But you are totally flattered still by that kind of stuff. And that is part of what continues to put it out there, because that's what you like. You like showing off. You like getting the feedback from it.
Yeah, I mean, and I tell a lot of the guys, be like, let me know what you think of this. And some of them do. And some of them...
Lots of them don't.
A lot of them don't. So, like, guys...
But we love interactive things that we can do with our community like that. And, you know, to where, okay, you guys have an idea, throw it at us. Let's try it. You know what I mean?
Right. Let us be the weird ones that, not weird ones, but like, let's try those weird things that like someone was like, this has always been a pipe dream, but I've never been able to actually do it. We'll try it.
Yep.
Like, you know,
as long as it's within our boundaries,
right?
I mean, and even then,
for the most part,
even then, we'll look at it and probably reassess the situation.
Yeah, we'll weigh the options.
Boundaries are, few and far between at this point.
Right.
But I think everybody should have the chance to, at least go down this road. It's left communication for us in our relationship is just amazing, because when you've done this kind of stuff with your partner, what could possibly embarrass you? Like,
right.
what could I tell you at this point that would change anything? We've been through so much together. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just everything that we've done, it has enhanced every bit of our marriage.
Absolutely.
And everybody is like, oh, this obviously means you don't love each other, or you obviously need things from the outside. No. We literally fuck each other 3 times a day still, if not more. And like last night, we were like, should we film this? We're like, I just don't want to fuck. Like,
right.
I don't want to have to film it. Let's just get primal. Oh, can I show them my new favorite move real quick? Come on.
Oh my gosh.
Look at this, guys. Come here.
We're gonna get flagged.
I'm gonna get flagged, but we're wearing clothes. I'm wearing clothes. So look, new favorite move. You got to have a purple mattress for it, right? We go like this, right? And then I go up like this, and then you got to bounce her like that. Boom. She wants it right now. We got to go, guys. Thanks for watching the podcast. Thanks for listening. If you're listening, you should watch it. Go find it on YouTube. I'm going to cover that so we don't get in trouble. Yeah. And make sure you come and find us on SDC at awkwardxxx.com, and maybe I'll show you this move in person.
Bye, guys.
See you later.